Welcome. Does intention and thinking impact reality? That's the question for today. And I'm going to be running an experiment. It's called the intention experiment, which you might be interested in on this rainy day here. Okay, so does intention, thought impact reality? Now, if you're a materialist, reductionist, logical type, you would say no. If you are a spiritual person and you've been around New Age circles and movies like The Secret, you will probably say yes. And what's true? Well, there's a couple of good physicists that are studying this. One's William Tiller, the other one is Tom Campbell, who are running experiments to see if our thinking, our attitudes, our intention can impact outcomes, impact reality. And there have been other scientists that have also studied this. After a week of working with logic, working with business owners and investors, I kind of enjoy this topic. And I think it does. I think our intentions impact reality. And as I said before, if you're a rationalist, reductionist, materialist, you'll think it doesn't, because you'll believe that consciousness is produced in the brain, as an example, where I believe, and I'd go as far as saying is that my day-to-day experience proves to me that consciousness isn't produced by the brain, but consciousness is. And we live in a field of consciousness. We are part of that field in the same way that a drop of the ocean is part of the ocean, or a wave is part of the ocean, even though for a while it might be identified as a wave. Not that that's a metaphor, people, because waves don't identify as separate, but you get the metaphor. This week, I had a client that said to me at the end of the appointment, very rational, high achiever, business owner, investor, have you been stalking me? Have you been stalking my social media accounts and researching my past? Because he could not fathom how I knew what I knew about him. Instantly. I've never met the guy. I got too busy to go researching my clients' backgrounds and past. Because, of course, part of the work that I do requires me to understand people pretty much deeper than they understand themselves. So I'm just tapping in and I get information about a person. And that's non-logical information. I'm tapping into them. Don't have to see them. I work with rationalists. I don't work with hippy-dippy types. Got nothing against hippy-dippy types, but I don't tend to work with them. I tend to work with rationalists who go, wow, how does Perry do that? Because I confound their rationalistic, materialistic model, and they've seen the evidence. And the problem for most rationalists is there's an arrogance in being a rationalist, which I'll talk about in a second, because this world, this life is a mystery. What we are is a mystery. And rationalists, for the most part, are arrogant because they perceive that they know and understand everything through the limited resources of the human intellect. Well, you know what? This afternoon, I was going for a walk, and the cells in my stomach have no idea that I'm going for a walk. The cells in my stomach have no ability. They don't have the internal infrastructure to have any connection other than what's happening for them in the level of my cells. And it's the same thing for human beings. Human beings live in this vast, unknowable mystery, and we are not equipped to understand it. This is why rationalists, in their own way, are egoic maniacs. I've had the good fortune to have very good friends who I'm very close to who are geniuses. And one of the interesting things about the geniuses is they understand the universe as a mystery, and they understand how little they know, and they understand the limitations of rational thinking, logic. The science is the great pursuit of truth, and I love science. I think at some point science will get to the point where some of these mysteries are understood in more scientific terms, where now they tend to be the domain of mysticism, of spirituality. Yesterday, I stopped off at a friend's place. He's a successful business person. And he was telling me how he was writing a book and how it was just easy. It was just coming to him. He says, I just tap on in. He's been a very successful business person. He told me he just taps on in. He said he just gets it. And he just knows it's going to be successful. And he said, you know, we are like, we can tune into greater frequencies and greater archetypal concepts out there in the universe and get information from them. We don't need logic. He's done very well out of tapping in. I also have a client who is involved in a very, very successful business here in Australia in the food industry, high growth business, fast growing business. And they told me that they meditated and got, again, just downloaded the recipes that have made their business super duper successful. I know these things to be true because my whole life has been one of receiving non-logic information that I've verified through logic, meaning I test the information that I might receive from non-logic sources. And the other great thing about this is it's fun. I watch people sort of working hard and not having a lot of fun. Well, when you tap in, you tend to be having a lot of fun, because to tap in means that you have dropped the ego, you've dropped the seriousness, you're dropping beliefs, you can relax into being level, a very quiet space. So coming back to what I said before is, does intention, do thoughts impact reality? And I said, I believe so, through my experiences. But I said, we're going to run an experiment. And this experiment that I'm going to be running, and you're invited to it if you want to be part of it, you'll see a link below to the Vortex Rebirth. And this is my anti-investing and anti-business. And what I mean by that is I spend so much time doing business development, strategic development. This is my sort of playground and place I'm just having fun, helping people access intuition and other non-ordinary states of consciousness. And it's a hoot. It's fun. And so this experiment that we're going to be doing, I'm running it tomorrow in the Vortex group. The Vortex group's like $5 a week. So again, it's just nothing. And we're doing these gatherings. And my plan is to set up a scenario where we, as a group, are using intention, and people should have an experience as a result of a group dynamic holding this intent. It's not scientific, it is anecdotal, but nevertheless, it is fun. So you're welcome to join me in that, and you'll see the link below. But it should be pretty interesting. And if you're the type of person, by the way, who is interested in improving their intuition, and even living a way more peaceful and successful life through learning to manage this thing, you'll like the Vortex Rebirth. It's a very, yeah, it's enjoyable. Okay, so again, I mentioned before about rationalists, and the challenge for rationalists is they put rationality as king, and I talked about the arrogance of that, and not understanding that we do not have the capacity to understand the immensity of this thing that we are in. I even hear great intellects and people that I respect, someone like Sam Harris, again, an arrogantness about his viewpoint, as though he knows, as though human logic can know. In 500 years, in 200 years, in 300 years, we will know way more about the mysteries of the universe than we know now. There's no finality in thinking. There is no finality in the end of where logic and scientific investigation will take us. So similarly, coming back to that metaphor, just like those cells in my stomach, right? When I'm going down to Woolies to get an ice cream, they've got no idea, like just in the same way that we have no idea around what's happening in the immensity of this universe. And quite frankly, I enjoy this being a mystery. Many strange things happen. We have access to many strange abilities when we learn to train our mind in a certain way, when we learn to train the ability to drop logic and enter states of consciousness that are more receptive to picking up information. And especially when we can learn to direct our awareness to pick up the information that we want. Anyway, if you're interested in this, want to have fun, come and join me in the Vortex Rebirth group. Talk to you next time. Catch ya.